So we explored costs quite in depth in the previous movie. I just want to spend a quick minute on fixed costs and how costs accrue in Microsoft Project. When you're working with a fixed cost, you have two different ways that you can work with it. They can either be variable, where they are dependent upon the usage for the overall final cost when you're using that particular item, or they can be fixed. Every time I set up a printing press, it's going to cost me $500,000 in order to have the setup done. It doesn't matter if I do it once or I do it 15 times. Every time I have to do that particular task, it's going to cost me the same amount of money. So there are different ways that you can manage those types of costs within Microsoft Project. And the preferred method is to set up a cost resource. This is something new in the 2007 version of the application. The reason that this is preferred is that it allows you to add notes about what that particular cost is for. Whereas if you handle it as a regular resource, you don't have the ability to add that information, that supporting information into the resource. So I've opened up our project costs exercise file, and I'm pointing right now at the overhead cost. I've identified that resource type as the cost resource type, so this is something new that we're going to be looking at. And I would like you to see how we work with that particular cost. You'll notice here that I have not added any information in about the costs at this point in time. They are added when I add this cost to a task in my Gantt chart. So if I go to View and I click on Gantt chart to change up the way I'm looking at my information, it now displays for me all of the tasks within my project. I'm going to assign that overhead cost to my Define Project Scope Summary task. The other nice thing about the cost resource task types are that they are available to be assigned to a summary task, whereas your regular resources need a subtask to be assigned to. I select my Define Project Scope task. I go up to my Assign Resource icon, and I select Overhead as the resource that I want to assign. I click the Assign button. It identifies that I have assigned the overhead resource, and I place the cost for that particular resource in the screen that you see here. So I'm going to say this is $2,000. Click the check mark, and that particular resource has been assigned with the overall cost of $2,000. I click Close, and that information is identified and highlighted in my resource list, along with the associated costs. Now, I'd like to talk quickly about how costs accrue in Project. If we go up to our Tools menu and go down to Options, ensure that you are looking at the Calculation tab. Down at the bottom of the screen, we talk about the different ways that we can accrue costs. Now, accruing costs is very important if you are going to be billing out to a customer as your project continues. So if you have agreed with your client that you are going to have agreed upon billing points, you're going to want to manage and discuss with your accounting team what is the appropriate accrual method that you're going to be working with for your fixed costs. If you go down to this pull-down menu here, you've got your three different ways. You can accrue them at the start of a task, you can prorate them throughout the duration of the task, or you can accrue them at the end of the task. Start and prorated projects charges the full cost of the charges at the beginning of the task when they begin throughout. At the end, the project will accrue the cost towards the end of the task. The default is to prorate the cost throughout the duration of the task. Next, we want to see how we can view project costs within our project plan. So that's what we'll be talking about in our next movie.